think everybody is coming back. I just want to just be sure. I think everybody's back. Are they back? I think so. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully everybody. I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to have a little bit of reporting back. So you can all just share one or two things. So all the facilitators, we're going to start with you, Kim. We're going to go right down that list here. But I'm going to ask you just to report back a little bit, 1 to 2 minutes each. I don't want to have to set a timer, but I will try to cut you off because we're kind of short on time. So if you could, we'll just go right down the list. Kim, share 1 or 2 things that you had found in your breakout.
Okay, I'll try and make it quick. So one thing that I thought was a really good idea that we talked about was really thinking about how to market the information about housing options and housing resources and going where people are, where the elderly population is. So partnerships with churches and, already going where people are, I thought was a great idea. And then thinking about how to make that kind of next set of homes available for the next generation. Something that we thought that is great that we could do more of is Rebuilding Together recently took a property, updated the home to make it like a single family housing unit. And if more of that could be done, where houses that are in disrepair could be flipped over and ready for people through a community effort, that would help with that area.
Really great. Thanks, Kim, and thanks to that breakout group and all your thoughts there. Shane, you're up next here.
So a couple ideas that I thought were really good were, one was getting people like medical professionals or maybe having navigators in the medical profession that can talk to the seniors about their options and the math behind the options, because sometimes it's not the family members that are the best to talk to their parents. It's somebody outside, another adult, to kind of speak to them, and medical professionals are somebody that they trust. So that could be one way of doing that. On the home side of things, we talked a lot about, similar to what Kim mentioned about rehab, different rehab programs and that kind of thing. But one idea was to possibly focus on neighborhood revitalization. And I don't know if there are ways that the city could have either revolving loans or grants or matching dollars available for homeowners in certain sections to either remodel or rehab homes while they're at a young enough age to be able to do that, and not, as you said, when it's an emergency down the road. There's just a couple of ideas that we had of many.
That's great. Thank you, Shane, and thanks to the breakout group that you facilitated there. Next up is Jamie.
Thanks, Ben. We had a great discussion as well. We talked about creating additional marketing resources regarding the support available to help assist the younger generation in having this conversation. Excuse me. For housing, we talked about, we had a lot of conversation about needing more local contractors and developers. So finding some good flat land within the community that we can build some senior development housing, maybe collaborating with our local college, MCC, for programs to develop some construction programs. We talked about some education around self-employment and encouraging high school graduates for some, vocational training in construction, and a warehouse that contractors could donate supplies to.
Love it. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks to your group, really. Krista, up next.
There. We had some similar ideas that have already been talked about increasing access to resources and stuff like that. But I think one of the things we talked about was the ordinance of the cities that we already have in place, but the city doesn't have the resources to enforce or, to go out and do that work and help people know that they're at risk. So just as you said, Ben, that homeownership is a community asset. So investing in people to go out and do that work and talk to homeowners who are at risk of having enforcement issues and things like that. The other thing we talked about is financial literacy a lot of, what resources are there. There's some that already exist. There's some that could exist to help seniors know how to utilize their equity in the right way so that they're not getting to the point where they've used up so much equity that when they go to sell their house, they don't make anything out of it. So finding that fine line. And Shane said navigators, that word came up for us too, as, you know, who are the people that a homeowner, a senior homeowner could work with on multiple different things, so whether it is to stay in their home or to prepare their home for selling to get the most out of it. So those are some of the things that we talked about.
Super. Thank you, Krista. And thanks to your group as well. Shalini, up next.
Sure. Hi, and thank you to my group for contributing. We also had a lot of really great conversations. We talked a lot about publicizing the services in our community for people who either wish to stay in their home or who want to improve their home in any way. And we talked a lot about having community forums as a good resource to share the services in our community. And then we also talked about looking at the broader housing market and different types of housing and making sure we start conversations early and that they happen at every different level.
Super. Thank you, Shalini. Next up, Amy. I want to make sure your mic works.
Amy had to leave the session due to technical difficulties, so.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought. So thank you to the folks that were in Amy's group. If any one of the group members is there, would you want to speak about something that kind of piqued your interest there?
We kind of just, this is Diana Broderson, we kind of just brainstormed together. We weren't able to type anything in. Amy was on for a little bit and was able to, she wasn't able to talk, but she typed in some of what we were talking about. Amy Hessel had written down a few notes from our session. Amy, do you have anything?
Well, I guess it fell a lot on the marketing and sharing the resources and stuff that we already have and trying to figure out how to get that information. One of the stuff is like just a resource manual, but trying to figure out what there's needed was a new thing was the fire department tends to get phone calls from seniors on weird things that you wouldn't technically call the fire department for, but they don't know who else to reach out to. And so that would be a really good resource to try to put together some of those things that are actually needed that we don't even think about, like in daily life. And maybe it's changing a light bulb, but I don't know, you know, like, but it's reaching out to the fire department and trying to get those. So we know what those resources are that seniors need.
You're muted, Ben.
You're still muted, Ben.
I'm sorry. Thanks for the really organic idea there. That's awesome. I mean, these are the kinds of things that, you know, you're not going to come up with at a policy level, like you tend to hear all these. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the series, just allowing me to come into your lives and share where I've been in my research for 25 years of my life. I just love small towns like yours. This is the place people want to be. I'm so thankful for all the passion that you have for wanting to join in. So really thanks to everybody, Charla, Paula, Kathy, Natalie, Sherry, for inviting me into your towns and into your communities and into your hearts. So thank you, everyone, for your time here today. I think we've got a little bit of a closing. Thanks.
You bet. Hey, Ben, we really want to thank you for taking time to come into our community over the last few weeks and help us evaluate and consider, you know, housing and how we can look at it differently and how it's impacting our community. So we appreciate all you're doing in your career to help and make a difference. I want to thank Sherry Humphreys today for opening for us. And of course, our facilitators, again, I think they did a wonderful job. Kim Warren, Shane Orr, Jamie Leza, Krista Reginator, Selena Rayshar, Amy Herrick, and Scott Dalkey, I think was waiting in the wings. So I want to thank our community specialists and the information they brought to us today. Jody Roll Goodwin, Shane Orr, Scott Dalkey, and Sarah Hecox. You know, I think both their expertise and their opportunities was good to hear on what's available and how can we look at that a little bit differently. And as Ben said, yeah, we need to recognize Kathy Vance and Natalie Jones, and they've been working behind the scenes the last 3 sessions, making sure this goes well. And there's a lot it's out of people's control, and we're having to use Zoom, and they've managed to make this look seamless. So thanks so much to them. Again, our board leaderships, it's Community Foundation of Greater Muscatine and Louisa County for their insight and commitment, bringing Ben to our community and opening some of these conversations and leaving us better educated than we were, so that as we talk about these things, we have a better basis from where we're starting. We appreciate all you for taking time. You know, it's everybody's busy and you're managing to give us time and to participate in these conversations. And we're thankful for your time as well. As you know, this is the final session we've got Ben in for right now. And we're going to send out an email on Tuesday as we have in the past, and we'll outline the PDF of the slides. And we're going to have, you know, a link of today's recording and the Jamboard sessions that we have available for you. And I ask you to share those that you have if somebody wasn't able to make it, because it's certainly great information to get in somebody else's hand and let them watch it, whether it's on a weekend or a night when they have the time. More importantly, I think, is just what our next steps are and how do you all stay involved? You know, whether it's sharing the positives about our communities and the conversations we've had on that, or resident recruitment, or neighbor, you know, newcomer inclusion, advancing and supporting their housing for our neighbors. We've had such great conversation over the last few weeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to send a link out shortly to you today with a short survey. And we certainly want you to take time. Please take time and give us feedback. But the survey is also going to have some room to identify action items you're interested in. We've had so much good conversation, and take time to let us know what you'd like to do and how you'd like to stay involved. You know, all of us have participated in different breakout rooms where we've had ideas and got excited about things that we could do better or differently and become better or stronger. And so as you're thinking through those, think back through that as you fill out this survey today. And it's not a long survey. It won't take you too long to put together. But I also encourage you to think about the areas you have influence over and where you can impact with your knowledge or your work or your vision, and letting others know what you've learned. You've got areas of influence with connections in our community if we want to make changes, your church, your work, your school. So start to think about those. And, you know, it's going to be a series of small and large collective things we do that continue to give our community energy and strengthen it. So we need to start today. Good ideas and good intentions are meaningless unless we start with some action. And I think that's going to be the most important thing, is how do we turn up what already is working well and make it even better? So we're all vested, or we wouldn't be here today, and we can all contribute and contribute in a more visioned way, I think, now, thanks to the information we have. So I guess I'd say, if it was up to you alone, what would you be working on? You know, or what would you change? And then start. Make it happen, start to influence, you know, grab others. And we're gonna, and please look for connections and reach out to us if there's ways we can connect you in some of those things as well. We're gonna plan on having a follow-up session with even more information on these important topics in February. We're gonna get through the holidays, and at the beginning of the year is usually tough. So we're going to start in February. We're going to have another session. We're going to invite all of you to that as well. And I have a feeling several of you already have some great things going on from some of the conversations we've had now that we're going to give you an opportunity to report back on as well. But I thank you for adding your voice and your action to making Muscatine and Louisa counties an even better place to live and grow up. And I thank you for being part of our community. So with that, Ben, again, our appreciation in making us stronger community and better neighbors. Have a great weekend.